Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Thursday, February 11th, and I'm Blair Kerkhoff. The Royals are less than a couple of weeks away from full squad spring training, but they made a big move late Wednesday. As part of a three-team deal, the Royals acquired left fielder Andrew Benintendi from the Boston Red Sox. The Royals sent Franchy Cordero to Boston and Khalil to the New York Mets. Benintendi, who bats and throws left-handed, slides into the Alex Gordon position. Benintendi's 26 years old, the same age that Alex Gordon was when he moved to left field from third base. Benintendi has some good years with the Red Sox. He was runner-up in the AL Rookie of the Year voting in 2016, and in the 2018 World Series Championship year, he hit .290 and scored 103 runs. On today's show, you'll hear from Benintendi and Royals General Manager Dayton Moore. That'll come after a break. Out of the gate, we're talking to Royals beat writer Lynn Worthy, who breaks down the trade and how this impacts the Royals. Okay, Lynn Worthy, it's not every day that the Royals add a starting outfielder to their lineup, but today's one of those days. It happened, and it actually happened last night. You and I were recording this on Thursday morning, and the news broke on Wednesday evening. I was watching Missouri's basketball game against Ole Miss and started getting alerts that the Royals had acquired, or in a three-team trade with the Mets and the Red Sox left fielder Andrew Benintendi. It's not a complete surprise, and to use a terrible pun, it didn't come out of left field, did it?
Well, I'll say this: there's nothing says baseball season like that. The negative temperatures with the wind chill we've had this last week, and then a good old three-team trade on the eve of spring training. That's how you know it's about time to play ball. Um, and no, it wasn't. It was not a surprise that the Royals had. Dayton Moore had been pretty. Open about the fact that they were looking at somebody left-handed bat for the outfield. They had, I'm told they had, been interested in, Jurickson Profar, which was one of those things that had been reported and talked about earlier in the offseason. But, Benintendi was obviously, with this trade, is their guy. He pencils right in as the left fielder to fill the shoes of Alex Gordon. He's a guy who's only 26 years old, has been on a world championship team, had 20 home runs in big leagues. He's been a 20 home run, 20 stolen base guy. Actually, I don't think he's done those two in the same season, but he's had both seasons of 20 home runs and 20 stolen bases. And he has been at times one of the better defensive left fielders. I think in his first full year starting was 2017. So 2017 through 2019, those 3 years, defensive runs saved, according to Fangraphs, for left fielders, he ranked behind just Alex Gordon as far as defenders in left field. So, it wasn't a surprise that they were looking for this type of guy. I guess maybe the surprise is that they were able to pull this off.
Yeah, and as you said, left-handed bat, and of course, replacing Alex Gordon. Up until last night, we were looking at Franchy Cordero as that guy, and so the Royals part ways with him. What are they losing by trading away Franchy Cordero and Khalil, I might add? So let's talk about those two players that the Royals have given up in this deal. Let's start with Franchy.
Yeah, this is in totality, it's really a trade in potential future for present. I mean, you talk about Cordero was a guy that they really liked. He's one of those guys that as they say, a lot of tools. I mean, like he had speed, he had athleticism, he had power. He just was one of those guys who hadn't put it together yet because he'd had a lot of injury issues, but the physical gifts were there. I mean, and that's one of the things that I think the Red Sox were drawn to about him is the physical gifts are there if he can stay healthy and be a little more consistent. But I mean, power wise, he had that 2 home run game at the end of last season, and you heard Royals people talking about in the alternate site and batting practice and stuff like that. He was showing off power that was Soler type power. But again, he hadn't put it all together. A guy that they had really been interested in while he was with the Padres for a while. Finally got him last summer. So he spent less than a full year in the organization because that trade was pulled off in July. But he was looking like the everyday left fielder. I think he's really not that far off age wise from Benintendi. Just hasn't had that experience in the big leagues because he hasn't stayed healthy. But there's potential there. Just a real big upside type guy. And then Khalil Lee was former third round pick, a guy that they liked a lot, a guy that they were thinking might be knocking on the door to the big leagues this year. Just a matter of with him how consistent he would be. But he'd been, I think they're Double A Player of the Year 2 years ago. The last year we had a full season. Last year he's a guy who probably would have been in Double A. You know, he stole, I want to say it was 53 bases his last full season in the minors. It sort of flies a little bit under the radar because Nick Heath led the minors and had 60, but Khalil Lee had like 53, if I remember right. It was a guy they thought maybe a center fielder, maybe a corner guy, a good athlete. He was a pitcher as well in high school. I mean, this is all around athlete guy. They thought his power was just starting to develop. He spent some time in big league camp last year, so these are two guys that they thought could really develop into big leaguers. But again, like I say, it was the potential of something versus having that bird in the hand with Benintendi, a guy who had been proven, a guy who had been, a contributor for a championship team, a guy who had been a good on base guy, which, depending on what strides you assume that Lee and Cordero might have been their shortfall because they're sort of free swinger guys whose strikeout numbers can get kind of high. Benintendi, while his last year, full season in 2019, his strikeouts went up a little bit, but overall, he's still a 270, 275 hitter, on base upwards of 350, slugging. Is not a big home run hitter, but I mean, the slugging percentage was in that 430 to 470, 460 range. So I mean, he's more of a proven guy who's done it at the big league level.
And a doubles machine, I heard Dayton Moore call him last night using the spacious alleys of Kauffman Stadium. Fully expects him to be that sort of hitter at Kauffman Stadium. And he loves Kauffman Stadium, does he not?
Yeah, he's done well. I mean, it's been a short, small sample size, but he's done really well. I'm interested to talk to him. We'll get the chance to talk to him soon, just to see because I think sort of the narrative, just from the things you read and if you listen to some of the talk out of Boston, was that his last full season, 2019, that maybe his swing started to get a little bit big and he started falling into some of that launch angle stuff and. So that's where his strikeouts jumped up about from like 106 to 140 in fewer plate appearances in 2019, and his home run numbers had actually gone down from 20 his first full season to 13 in 2019. Now, to me, those numbers aren't huge differences, but there is a difference there. So I'd be interested to. That's why I'm interested to see if he actually made a difference in approach. I mean, I know sometimes Fenway Park or the Green Monster can cause guys to maybe change their approach, but as Dayton had talked about, if he uses the middle of the field and drives the gaps, and they're looking at him as a 40 double guy, and and obviously he's got speed. There's been reports that he was focused more on being more athletic this offseason, that maybe he might have got a little away from that a little bit. So again, that's why I'm interested to hear what he has to say about that. But I mean, his production has been, you know, um, solid. I mean, this was a guy that, they won that World Series in 2018. That outfield of Mookie Betts, Jackie Bradley Jr., and Andrew Benintendi was, their teams just dying to have that type of a group out there. All young guys, athletic, like, the phrase gets used a lot, I guess, probably now anytime you got athletic outfielders, but the idea of having three guys who could be center fielders, that type of thing.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's, I mean, it's not a run of the mill move as far as them getting him, and he's under control for this year and next year. Was able to verify that the Red Sox sent 2.8 million as the cash considerations of that deal, and Benintendi's making 6.6 this year, so it's like a 3.8. Should never do math on the air, but I think it's 3.8 is what's left over. The Royals will be paying for him this year, so about $4 million they're paying for him this year. Um, to ideally put up the type of numbers that he's put up in the past. I mean, that's a pretty good bargain there.
Yeah, it is. You mentioned his defense. He had the play of the 2018 ALCS, right, against the Houston Astros, when diving catch with the bases loaded in the ninth to end the game. If he misses the ball, the Astros win the game likely, and the series is 2-2 instead of 3-1 in favor of Boston. Of course, they went on to win that series and the World Series that year. It also let's end it on this, Lynn. It also speaks to the idea that the Royals are intent on trying to win now and not in 2023 or 24. That this is a win now acquisition.
Yeah, I mean, I think this offseason has been, a series of win now acquisitions when you think about Carlos Santana, Mike Minor. Those are guys who've been all-stars in the recent past, veteran guys who you feel like you consistently what you're going to get from them, as opposed to just waiting and seeing on some of these guys, which I think has been sort of, more or less what we've seen in the last couple of years, like those 100-loss seasons that they had. A lot of that was, well, we got to find out about this guy. We got to find out about Hunter Dozier. We got to find out about Adalberto Mondesi. We got to get Nicky Lopez time, then let them, get to the big leagues, get their feet under them, see what type of players they're going to be. And while they're doing that, and there's times that you have to do that, but while you're doing that with that many guys, you're piling up losses. And now you're looking at it, and as opposed to, we'll just see who we can plug in or just ride out what we got, and maybe just saying, okay, well, we'll throw Khalil out there and he'll learn on the job. Like, no, they went and got Andrew Benintendi, a proven guy, and he's going to be out there, as opposed to saying, well, we'll still stick it out with, O'Hearn, McBroom, and whatever else maybe at first base. Said, no, you're going to bring in Carlos Santana, put Dozier over at third. And the finances are obviously part of that too. But I mean, I think one of the things that I keep sticking out to me in my mind is just, and we talked about a little bit when they decided to non-tender Franco, but Franco was obviously productive for them at third base. But my understanding was that he was looking for like $9 million. And if you take that number and you say, well, they got Carlos Santana for $7 million in the first year of his deal, and then they're going to get, Michael Taylor. We're not sure what he's going to turn out to be, but basically they got two guys who are probably starters, who are veteran, who sort of established for what they could have maybe paid Franco. And, so again, the finances play a big role in this, but they're trying to maximize money, maximize experience, and not be waiting on young guys to see what they can pan out to be and also win at the same time. So they're balancing a bunch of things. Right now on paper, it looks like they've balanced it pretty well. We'll see once they, hit the field what it looks like.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, you'll hear from Andrew Benintendi and Royals General Manager Dayton Moore. Lynn, thanks for stopping by and chatting.
No problem.
Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Stars award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening.
First thing I wanted to ask you was, I know there had been, at least from the Boston end, some rumors that maybe you might be involved in the deal, going back a couple months. I didn't know, for you, was that something you paid attention to when this deal came about? How surprising was or wasn't it? And what were some of your initial reactions coming to Kansas City?
Yeah. So obviously a couple months ago, name was being thrown around. So I tried not to pay too much attention to it because there's only so much I can control, So, so I just tried to, keep my, focus just on getting ready for the season, and whatever happens. And I got a call last night from Chaim Bloom and said that there's a good chance you're going to get traded tonight. So I'll let you know. And didn't know the team. And then I found out it's the Royals, and I'm extremely excited. I'm from the Midwest, going to a Midwest team. So I'm excited. I'm ready to get there, ready to meet people, build those relationships and get going.
What and I know you've played here obviously before, come through here with the Red Sox, but what sort of ties, connections do you have with Kansas City? I mean, just looking on paper, and I don't know how close you are with JBJ, but I know he played with Witt, I think, in college. Right. And then just being not that far away, I didn't know what sort of connections you'd had with, Kansas City, Kauffman Stadium, the Royals, any of that.
Yeah. So, I mean, the first time I was really introduced to Kansas City fans was when I was attending Arkansas in 14 and 15. And obviously that was in the peak of those runs. So was familiar then. Kansas City is honestly one of my favorite cities to visit, with the barbecue there down in the plaza. So, I mean, I'm excited. Like I said, I mean, if I'm going to sound monotonous, I feel like this whole time, but I'm ready to build those relationships and get things going.
What was the last, I mean, obviously you had, the injury and the pandemic shortened year. What was 2019, 2020 for you like?
Yeah. So 2019 was honestly going pretty well for me into that last month of the season. Had some injuries there that last month, didn't have a good month at end 18. And it kind of, I think, hurt my overall, numbers. And then last year, obviously, it's unfortunate. The season was obviously the first time we had ever experienced that. So, I played 13 or 14 games and I broke my ribs, which is unfortunate. So, obviously it's tough to swing with some broken ribs, but feeling good now and ready to get going.
Did 2019, I know this has been said and written. I don't know if I wanted to hear what you thought. People were talking maybe that did you change approach at all? Were you looking to do more power-wise? I think people had looked at maybe some strikeout numbers and thought maybe launch angle was a thing. I mean, was that an actual change for you, or was that just, baseball, things change from year to year and,
Right. No, there was an effort on my end to just try to get the ball in the air more. At the time, I think that's where the game was. And it might be getting away from that a little bit now, but it was power. So I was trying to go up there and hit for more power. And I mean, I'm 5'9", 175 pounds. So I realized that I'm not going to be up there hitting, 30 homers a game or 30 homers a year and things like that. But but now I kind of understand the player I am, the player I want to be. And physically, I feel back to where I need to be. Swing feels good. So just putting everything together.
Dayton, can you tell us how this came together? Was this something that's been in the works for a while? I mean, I know you talked about a left-handed bat, so can you sort of walk us through this process?
Yeah, sure, Lynn. I mean, as you all know, we've been just searching and evaluating left-handed bats that we could possibly either acquire in a trade or free agency, and Scott Sharp had been in contact, quite a bit with the Red Sox this offseason. And it was just a matter of, being able to, decide on, the right players. And finally we came to some agreements, and through Scott's tireless work and, the help of our scouts and coaches, and certainly people that are familiar with all the players involved. And so it was one of the more, I would say, detailed analysis that we've been through in a while, because there were just so many different players involved. And again, just looking at, all of the options that are available. And of course, we traded two really good players in Franchy Cordero and Khalil, two guys that we like a great deal with upside, but they're just Andrew Benintendi is a proven talent at this point in time in his career, and been a part of playoffs, and he's a proven winner, and gets on base, does a lot of things that you need players to do in your lineup if you're going to win. And so he fits really well with our current group and a lot of the things that we were able to execute this off season.
Dayton, do you remember how far back it was you guys started these? Like you said, it was one of the more detailed. I mean, has this been months, weeks?
Yeah, it's been going on. We've been having discussions about Andrew Benintendi for a while, probably over the last couple months or so.
Dayton, how much does this move fit with just how much you've talked about and Mike's talked about the want to win for the current time, but also with these guys coming up and wanting to win? How much does this move fit with that goal?
Yeah, Alec, I think it does. It fits perfectly. It's we've got, whether it be Jorge Soler, we've talked about in the past, Jorge Soler, Whit Merrifield, Mondesi, Salvador Perez. There's four players right there that can do some special things on a baseball field, and we wanted to add to that group. Obviously, we've been able to do that with Benintendi and Carlos Santana, earlier Michael Taylor. I mean, there's some guys that can do some special things, on a baseball field. And, Hunter Dozier, when you look at what he did in 2019, we feel that, he's going to be a lot closer to that player than he was in 2020. I mean, there's still a lot of upside in him as well. It allows us to, I think, utilize Nicky Lopez in a role that's going to even be more meaningful. And so he can just settle in, play defense. He doesn't have to worry about, trying to do more than he's capable of doing offensively, and just be a contact guy, work the count, make great plays, bring energy, go first to third. I mean, I think it just allows us to have guys settle in their, current roles and just, be who they need to be for us to win.
Dayton, along those same lines, like talking about just trying to win immediately, how much would you say the like John Sherman's influence has had on the moves you guys made this off season, looking towards competing right away? Just because, I think we're all still learning about him, but knowing what they did in Cleveland and some of the things he said when he first took over, the idea of competing every year was something that I know he had spoke about and seemed like that had been sort of his MO. Was that, how much of that influences on what you guys have done this offseason? Well,
John obviously has, a huge amount of influence, but we've worked every single year to win. And, we've never not tried to put the best team we can on the field with the resources that we have, the opportunities available to us, knowing full well that we have to transition young players to the major leagues. So, one of the interesting things about this move today is we've got to work diligently to acquire a talent like Andrew Benintendi, who's making some money, who is entering the prime years of his career. He's a proven, productive major league player. Those players, as I said, are usually, more expensive. And then we have to utilize our farm system as well to acquire that type of talent. So we're paying in multiple ways to obtain a talent like Andrew Benintendi. And, So we've got to time things in a way that can blend all these different talents and resources together to put a winning team on the field. And of course, we want to do it on at a sustained level, as we've talked about. But I mean, we don't really compare ourselves to anybody else. I mean, this is a winning culture. We have a terrific manager. We have an unbelievable fan base that expects us to put a competitive team on the field. We've won world championships. We've been to back-to-back World Series. I mean, we've proven as a group that, we can accomplish some very special and unique things. And but John's influence is certainly important. I mean, as all owners are on a Major League Baseball team. But John is very engaged. He asks great questions. He's constantly asking how he can help and what we need to do to get better. And so it's great to have that type of support. But again, I mean, we just focus on what we do and not what anybody else has done or done in the past. And, we've got a group over here that's got a lot of, had a lot of success, not only here, but other places.
Yeah, I think I was more so just talking about the idea of, giving up some guys that maybe could have been pieces in the future for a guy who's a piece right now. That's a good question. And, John and I talked about that during this process. And as, JJ and Lonnie and Scott and Renee, and, we all kind of, unpack this as well, because, anytime, as Lynn, you're trading young players that can potentially be a part of the future, even though that they're unproven. It's not the easiest thing to do, because our market, our philosophy relies on young players and growing our own talent. But as we have to utilize some of that young talent that we've drafted, signed, and developed to acquire, talents like Andrew Benintendi. And so we're not going to hesitate to do that, whenever it makes sense. But, when we brought in Mikey Minor, brought in Carlos Santana, Michael Taylor, re-signed Greg Holland, blending those acquisitions, those talents in with Whit Merrifield and Jorge Soler and Salvador Perez and Mondesi and Dozier and a guy like Nicky Lopez, who I mentioned before. I just think that it made a lot of sense for us to go ahead and try to execute this deal. And, as an organization, we were all feeling this was the right move for us. It certainly makes us a lot better today. And that's what it's all about.
That'll do it for today. Thanks to our SportsBeat KC production staff of Derek Donovan, Beth Welsh, Monty Davis, Jeff Rosen, Chris Fickett, and Savannah Smith. A tip of the cap to Lynn Worthy for stopping by and talking Royals. Hey, we have another deal for you. For a limited time, you can subscribe to Sports Pass for 99 cents a month. That's right, 99 pennies a month. After 3 months, it auto-renews $5.99 a month unless you cancel. So how do you get it? You go to kansascity.com/SportsPass2020. That's kansascity.com/SportsPass2020. You want more than just sports coverage? Check out the entire Kansas City Star product. Sports, news, features, commentary, and analysis, the whole thing. You get all the stories written by my talented colleagues, plus additional news, sports, and business coverage with the e-edition. The details for all of these deals can be found at account.kansascity.com/subscribe. And if you're having trouble hunting down any of these offers, send me an email, bkerkhoff@kcstar.com, and I will get you to the right place. So whether it's the Sports Pass or the full subscription, you're getting in supporting the best sports and news coverage in Kansas City and helping us produce programs like SportsBeat KC. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back on Friday with another episode.